My name is Courtney Cox, and I play Gail Weathers in this new version of Scream. When Scream came out, it was just such a unique film. The horror genre had kind of, it felt like it had been played out a little bit, and all of a sudden Kevin Williamson writes this script where he, poked fun at other horror films, and there was a lot of humor in it, and it was so scary. And I just think it was a big part of pop culture. So I think that first Scream will, I think, be around forever and ever and ever, and be always looked up to and looked back at as one of the great ones. I've done 4 Screams with Wes Craven, who is this incredible man, and after seeing Matt and Tyler's work and hearing great things about them, I was like, oh wow, what a perfect way to reinvent this movie. And when I read it, it was so much in the vein of the first Scream. Knowing that Matt and Tyler were directing this, and after seeing their film, they're just incredible, and they really know how to balance humor and horror, and reading the script, it was so similar in tone to the first one. I got really excited. It's really scary, and it's funny, and it's unique. When I read it, I was like, oh, I like when Gail is really cutting and competitive, so that was my only note, just to make sure we keep her that way, because there's a lot of emotions in this film, and a lot of heightened emotions, and things have changed. Like Gail, she's moved to New York. She works on a morning show. She's become more successful and more sophisticated, and she's no longer with Dewey. Wes is such an incredible man, and it's like, I don't know, for some reason, it always makes me emotional because he's so sweet. Anyway, he is an incredible director, but he's also an incredible human, and he is, he was literally life-changing for me in so many ways. But like silly memories that I have, I remember the first time that I had to really scream. I don't know if I had been stabbed or a gun, been shot. I don't remember, but I just remember saying, well, Wes, what happens? Like, you've directed so many horror films. What happens? Like, how do you do that? What does it feel like when someone, he's like, Courtney, I don't know, it's never happened to me. I was like, all right, thanks. That was it. Like, he had such a great sense of humor. And the last Scream, I remember we got really like slap happy on the set. Something made him laugh, and I had this video of him. I was filming him. He got the giggles. And to see Wes Craven, you always think of him as like the king of horror. He is so silly. He couldn't stop laughing, couldn't stop, and you'd see him just kind of try to not break, and be like, and he couldn't stop. And he's just so cute. He's just the sweetest man. He was silly, he was serious, he was loving, he was caring. He was almost like a father figure in so many ways. He would sit and just like share his wisdom, but he'd also love to go out and have a glass of wine and be silly. He was just an incredible person and director. As far as Scream goes, he was great at balancing the humor and the horror, but there was something about the way he would film. You would always see him leading up to something. You're like scared before you were scared. It's just the way he would do certain camera angles, or you'd see him focus on something that you are like, oh, what's gonna happen there? Why are we focusing on that? And then you'd be scared by something else. So he'd throw you off by his visual things, or lead you into it. He had a great visual style. I want them to see this incredible cast. I want them to, to laugh, to have the same kind of interesting callbacks. I want them to, they're gonna experience a movie that's very similar to the first one. It's scarier, probably. It's how many, what was 25 years ago? So it's up to date in a different way. Even though Scream will always be classic, this is just like an updated, cool, hip, scary, funny movie.
I'm David Arquette, and I played Dewey Riley. When I first got the original Scream script, I loved it. It was just such a new take on horror films. It was so self-referential and meta, as they say nowadays. But I don't even think they had that term back then. But it really, it took into consideration people's love for horror films and understanding, and it really gave the fans a voice, and they respected what had come in the past, and they had fun with it, and they let you in on the joke. And I think that's really what connected with people. So when I got the script for the new Scream, I was really impressed again. It really did a similar thing where it took all this information that we've learned and all this technology and all these advancements and the love for like the fandom out there for people in horror films and the Scream franchise in general, and really like took all those things into consideration. It was really well written, really witty, really scary, and I thought it was a great tribute to sort of the legacy that Wes and Kevin Williamson had created to start with. Well, I was really impressed by Matt and Tyler with their love for horror films and how much Wes had an impression on them, and how much they wanted to honor him with making of this film and continue it. And that really touched me, that, like myself, they'd been touched by Wes's work and were huge fans of his. So that really set me at ease and was like, oh, this is the right people. And since Wes's family was behind it and Kevin Williamson was involved and behind it, it gave me a lot of just confidence that they were the right people to do this. They really want to honor the films that had come before, and they really took that into consideration with, the characters that return, and really just have a great understanding for story. They have a great understanding for horror and comedy, which is really important. And they're just fantastic guys in general. It's really easy for me to sort of slip back into Dewey. I mean, in general, I usually draw my characters from aspects of my personality. It's somewhat closer to you than others, and Dewey's very close to me. I always love the feeling that he kind of doesn't feel like he gets the respect that he deserves. And I've often felt like that, especially in the wrestling world. So, but he's also got this really childlike quality to him that, and he's really just a sweet person at heart. And believes in love, and love is sort of really the most important thing to him. He's a lot more rugged than he was before, and life has a way of sort of toughening you up, and he's really sort of had a hard road. One of my favorite moments about this film is seeing the group of actors that they've chosen and just seeing how they've bonded, and then being able to work with Courtney and Nev and see them, it's something we've been working on for, on and off for 24, 25 years. It's interesting to become not a, you're like part of this history of horror now. And then you're working with people who grew up, some of them weren't even born by the time the first one was made. So it's like you're seeing this new generation having an appreciation for it. And now they're, in the driver's seats, and they're like, these incredible actors. I had seen Matt and Tyler's film Ready or Not, and I was really impressed by their skill and their sort of sensibility and how fun that film was and how wonderful they directed it. So I knew they were incredibly talented. But, and then I read the script and I talked to them. My stuff was sort of more character-driven, like my feelings about certain things. And I understood the story they were wanting to tell. And as an actor, it's really your role to help people tell stories and figure out where you fit into their vision of what this story will be. So, I've had my little issues and feelings about certain things, but I trusted them, and I'm glad I did, because they really did a wonderful job. I'm really excited for audiences to see this incredible world that they've been a part of for 24 years, and these characters that they've loved, and to see how they've, progressed and where they're at, and I'm excited to scare them. I'm excited for them to laugh, and I'm excited for them to see this new group of incredibly wonderful actors just giving incredible performances. I'm also excited for people to see Dewey and Gale together on screen again. And Nev, I'm really excited for Nev to come back and the feeling that people get where she's like this badass again.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
别忘了订阅我们的频道，打开小铃铛就不会错过任何精彩内容，随时上架。我们下回再见。